You have now entered the realm of Metaverse-ology. My name is Rolvin Cope,
And this is Shay Richburg.
and welcome to the show. Shay, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Robin. How are
I'm
you?
excited. I'm excited. We have a special guest today, Justin Lacche. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm really excited to be here, and I think any chance to talk amongst friends about not just a technology, but something to be excited about in the pandemic era, it's a great thing. So thank you both for having me.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that, especially like you said, in the pandemic era. This definitely gives us the opportunity to take our minds off of this and to create a whole new world and enter into that. Justin, are you ready for today's masterclass to teach these people a lesson?
So I'm not going to show up like that. I'm going to say I'm ready to throw a couple of touchdowns and no picks, but I know how intelligent your audience is. So I'm going to just try to control clock management, as we say in sports.
There we go. I love that. I love that. So he's
Yeah.
already given a little hint to who he is. But before we dive in, Shay, let's play a little game with Justin.
Okay. Well, Justin, what we like to do is we like our audience to know our guests a little bit more personally. So I'm going to ask you an awesome icebreaker question. So please feel free to share your answer with us. Okay. It won't be too hard. Okay. Please share with us what is your favorite movie, Justin, and why?
Well, to live up to the hype that my 20-year-old daughter says that I'm the most boring man in Portland, Oregon, my favorite movie is actually the baseball movie Moneyball because it made problem solving and math cool. And if you can do that in my line of work, you're already ahead. So Moneyball it is.
Moneyball, love that. That's
Good
right.
choice.
That's
I
right. Good
remember
movie.
Moneyball. Yes,
That's
good
right.
choice.
What problem are we solving here, right?
Exactly. There's lots of problems to be solved. So that's an awesome answer.
That's it. Justin, thank you for playing. So let's pivot a little bit for the unenlightened and people that are not familiar with who Justin Lacche is. Tell the audience a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you do.
By day, I am Chief Metaverse Officer for the Portland Sasquatch and a conglomerate of ownership that we own a couple of minor league teams. So what that really means is my job is to correctly anticipate what the metaverse is going to look like 6 months, 9 months, a year from now, and operationalize it in a way that for minor league teams is scalable, relevant, and profitable. So that's my day job. I have a background as a minor league athlete. And really, the most important thing that I try to do is to demystify technology, but do it in a way where we guess correctly so that it's scalable for our partners and our teams and it's lasting.
Mm,
That's awesome.
wow. It sounds like you're an awesome futurist. That's what it sounds like to me, Justin.
Well, and you both know from all of your hard work in democratizing, not just sharing the story, but how you get different flavors of problem solving through your show is the hardest part about being a successful futurist is you have to leave the ego at the door and you have to be very honest about, even if you are super passionate about where technology is going, you have to always let the street, as I say, the street has to be honest about, do they want it? Is it the right time? Is it scalable? Is it something that's empowering? And that's where, despite the fact, just like how you are very passionate about sharing stories, when I get excited about technology, I have to really kind of check myself at the door and be a scientist about pick which of these technologies is scalable and also is it the right time and the right trends. And as you both know, that's where the fun but the science begins.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Now there are people that are listening, and a lot of people, even that are involved in this space, that are still, they're still trying to figure it out, right? How would you define the metaverse in your own words?
So for starters, before we jump into the technical answer, the first thing I always say talking with friends in any industry is you are the metaverse. So the metaverse is not what a corporation says, nor what I say, but what I would say from a base science perspective, a technologist perspective. A metaverse is a digital ecosystem backed by blockchain technology. So in a digital ecosystem, you can have the ability to create, innovate, but because of the blockchain technology, there is a cryptocurrency element, there's an intellectual property element, there's an ability to interact, and it is a platform that fundamentally, when we say a true blockchain with an open blockchain is, it can't be manipulated. So if the three of us create a metaverse, the underlying technology is that none of us can skew the code. And then built on top of that is the what we call the deconomy, which is a decentralized economy and everything that comes with it. But the biggest, last week I was talking, follow up with Hawaii Public Radio, which is the biggest difference between a metaverse and say a video simulated or video game world is that those could be manipulated by the providers of the game. In the metaverse, it is the nodes, the people speak. And that I think is a very important, different paradigm shift. But I think that is what's massively exciting, especially for folks who have not typically had the opportunity to have a level playing field.
That's an excellent question.
That is.
I mean, answer. I mean, like you said, it's a completely. Most people can't even fathom it yet, right? Because they're so used to being, everything being centralized and controlled. And when they think about, something that's decentralized and the blockchain, there's a lot of technical jargon, right, for the layperson. But I think we're, society as a whole is going to have to move towards that and have to upskill themselves and understand, what the capabilities are and how flexible it is to allow them to do so much more.
I just want to chime in and say, I think, Justin, you really hit the note when you said the freedom, the flexibility, the creativity that people will have the capacity and the engagement in within the metaverse. I think that's so needed right now because so many people feel so stifled with this virus in our society. So because we have this alternative world that we can, begin engaging more and more into, I think people are really going to be fascinated and really open to engaging more within there. So I think your job and your project that you're working on is incredible. So I know you are working with the minor leagues. Can you tell us a little bit more about your project, what exactly you're doing with the minor leagues and the metaverse?
First off, I have to give kudos to both of you for very thoughtful points, which is, and I want to also equally give kudos for how you democratize this opportunity. So I think that equally what you do is very important. My job in minor league sports, I'll take Oregon, for example, was on March 13th, 2020 at 5 p.m., Governor Kate Brown said, don't come to work tomorrow morning. The coronavirus is here, don't come to work. And my job at 5:05 was to make sure we had continuity of business, that we didn't go bankrupt. I had a little bit extra runway to understand that what was going to happen was going to hit North America. So while it was scary, we had the continuity of plans. But to be able to virtualize professional sports in a way that neurologically still was relevant to our fans, the first phase was creating a digital project that helped our fans escape the stresses of common life. So no stranger to where the city that you live in or around the world, there were immediate disruptions to employment, economics. We couldn't buy vitamins or toilet paper. People were scared. So sports typically, historically, has been a great reliever during times of great community, national or international stress. So we tripled down on that, which was, we were honest about what we were and what we weren't. It's amazing now because as I look back at that time on March 13th, 2020 to today, there was not even a talk about having our teams playing in a metaverse. It was just, let's get on a Microsoft Teams, or hey, there's this thing called Zoom coming on. Now, where we are today is we're actually able to have certified, nationally ranked tournaments in the metaverse. And why that's important, between the difference between a metaverse and e-gaming is because the blockchain doesn't allow for manipulation, the brand is stronger. So when our fans see us competing in the metaverse, they know that Justin is not manipulating the score. And that neurologically as a fan is why people love sports, because it is a real life theater. Nobody knew who was going to win the Georgia-Alabama game, except for maybe a couple of Georgia faithful. But that is the same idea, which is in esports, is we want to have people neurologically engaged. There are two types of approaches. Number one, there are those that want to only do e-gaming. I don't see us, nor do I want us to live in a world where we have goggles on for 19 hours. So I want the metaverse to be a part of our natural interaction and fluency, but to not replace it. So really what I think that the metaverse has done for minor league sports is it's kept continuity of business. multiple larger American sports leagues went bankrupt because of the coronavirus. And so we were able to hold the line, but we're also giving reasons for when we can get back to the field in a more consistent, non-disruptive way. It will be, there's no more off season, and there'll be chances for athletes, fans, business development, community to engage in ways year round. And that really opens up endless possibilities.
Wow, that is amazing. And what I really like what you've done is you've really bridged the gap from the real world and the virtual world. And I really love, because I have children myself, I don't want to engage in a world where I'll just have goggles on and I don't even know how protective those are in the long run on my children's eyes or my eyes. So again, I love how you're not just relying on just that equipment and you're bridging the worlds together. It's not 100% emerge into the virtual world. Now, could you explain a little bit how you're connecting both worlds in what you guys have created?
Very thoughtful question. So what we coin as an omniverse model is, it is the natural relationship that a metaverse can have to real life or brick and mortar. And the first thing I'd like to just share with everyone watching or listening to this is, it's no different than the conversation that the three of us are having right now. Ideally, it would be great that the three of us meet up for dinner sometime soon. But right now, because of geographic and time zones, this is still a authentic neurological way for us to share a topic. So is the same with the metaverse and brick and mortar. But my job is to really democratize and empower this. And most of our fans work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, 2 jobs. They don't want to wear goggles for 19 hours. They want to have an authentic championship brand that they feel within their budget is worth their time. And my job is to honor that. As someone whose family came to America with $12, I'm not high society. I'm a working guy. I understand that how important sports is. So my job is to have different ways to interact. Now, in an omniverse model, what does that mean? When we design metaverse NFT art, which is just a fancy way of saying blockchain art, we have 3D printers that print physical trading cards. So now we can do real-time sports trading cards without waiting 8 weeks for our distributor. We can tie that back from a physical product. We can have physical products like our t-shirts, mugs, trading cards, backed by a cryptocurrency, where we're now going back and forth between both worlds. We're working on projects now. Last week, we had our first product drop where we actually had jerseys with sensors. So when our athletes are competing in the metaverse, not only can they move with a more natural fluency, but they can also feel what it's like to be on the pitch. And I'm also very proud to say that our minor league teams are co-ed and very diverse. So it's also a chance for different body types, experiences to give feedback to make it more authentic. All of this combined comes to a single narrative, which is we want to amplify the real world experience, not replace it. And the metaverse opens endless opportunities.
I love that. I think you hit the nail on the head. Most people, and I saw, I think one of the creators of like Pokemon Go was recently talking about that. Like, we don't want to be immersed, into the metaverse. And you've seen some of the commercials from like Meta, right? You have a neighbor right next door. You're in there with the goggles, and you don't even engage with the neighbor in the physical world, right? But your best friend's in the metaverse, right? So that's some of the things that people are concerned about: mental health. And then you have the VR experience the AR, where you have the augmented reality. But I think the omniverse, is a completely different level. I love what you guys are doing there. Try to give us a picture, Justin, of you. What is the experience like for a fan? Like, some people have the goggles on, and then some people are at a physical game watching it. And so you can be home watching the game, or you could be there physically. And what is that like? I'd love to hear some of the feedback that you're hearing from the fans as well as the players. What do they feel? How do they feel about it?
Great question. And I think just as in the real world, I have to be a sports general manager where you're managing the real world stadium experience for fans and players. As a chief metaverse officer, you have to always put on your product manager hat. Think about all the different diverse ways that your fans are engaging with you in the metaverse. Now, for me, that means try to make things as low as entrance barriers possible. So people don't want 17 clicks, they want one click. Like when my daughter orders something, she doesn't want 17 things, she wants one thing.
Mhm.
We also want to be device agnostic, right? We don't want to have our fans have to buy a $1,500 piece of hardware. But for those fans that have it, we also want them to be able to enjoy the full experience. So my job, and it goes back to what you thoughtfully said about being a futurist, is I have to anticipate the hardware trends, the technological sensory integration trends, and then translate it in a way where if you're a fan who just got off your second shift, working 58 hours a week, and you have your 3 kids with you, what you don't want is to follow a 5-page thing that Justin says. You want to sit down, press a button, and be truly entertained and engaged. And my job and my team's job is to anticipate and make that available and to always think ahead so that we can continue to grow that experience. Now, that's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it's complicated because just as you know, talking with all different types of innovators in different sectors, it's not that these solutions aren't there, but you really have one shot at a first impression. And to get it right, that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Yes. So it sounds amazing. And so for our guests listening, because I know everybody's at the edge of their seats and they would like to engage in one of your company's games. Somebody listening, Justin, how would somebody go about that? Could you let our audience know what are some of the devices they may need? Give us an example, if you can please share with us.
Great question. And I'm going to, also take this opportunity to double down about why the metaverse is such an authentic opportunity for diversity, equality, and inclusion. I think about my family where English was not spoken in our household. And I was also recently talking with different communities where the most important thing for the metaverse is to get your communities, whether it's your family, your business communities, your college friends, your business partners, just get on a metaverse. Don't overthink the hardware. Don't overthink the perfect experience, but demystify it. So my friendly challenge as a friend to all of your listeners is, if you haven't been on a metaverse tonight, by dinner time, my homework assignment to you is get on a metaverse, log in. Don't even worry about what it's like for you, because again, remember, you're the metaverse. It's not what I say it is or what anyone else says it is. Now, to your thoughtful question about the device and experiences, like anything in life, like you two are wonderful hosts, thoughtful podcast people. You also put a lot of time in practicing your craft.
Yes.
You are always evolving. The same thing is true with anything in life. The more hours you put into it constructively, the better you will get. So what I've found typically is the more comfortable folks are engaging in a metaverse, and if folks want to reach out to me with LinkedIn or something, I'm always happy to share. But deliberately, I don't recommend a hardware set or a experience, because by definition, a decentralized experience will be very different for people. But the one thing I do say is, whether you are 93 years young or whether you are a second grader listening to this with your family, is the metaverse is for you. Get on the board and then build your stories. And then from those stories, you will find there are very achievable technological options. I was talking to a community where I said, we actually, for fun with a classroom, I said, here are all these different steps at a public library for free. You can access the metaverse with a library card. We've also done that with business development. So there's nothing to be afraid about. At the same time, don't expect in 15 minutes to be wowed. It is going to be a neurological journey as much as it is a technological journey.
No, that's great. That's a great piece of advice. And like I said at the beginning, there are a lot of people that are even in the space that are still learning. And that's what I love about this, is everyone knows that we're all trying to figure it out. I think Mark Zuckerberg said it himself, right? Everyone's trying to figure it out. So just kind of get in there, dive in and figure it out for yourselves. I mean, Justin, you and your organization, that you've done an amazing job really just staying ahead of the trend, right? Like Shay said, and trying to figure out this balance between this, what you guys call that meta and that physical space with brick and mortar. What piece of advice would you give to other organizations and companies that are completely lost and they're just hearing about it for the first time, right? Aside from diving in, how how should they think about it themselves? Because I know a lot of organizations and business leaders are just really lost. And we see a lot of the companies move, bigger organizations moving really quickly, buying land and Decentraland and a lot of events. And people are like, am I going to be left behind? Right. And then they feel like that. Do you think that's an accurate feeling to have at this point?
What I would say is, I believe this is a historic opportunity for innovation, equality, and growth. And it's okay to be overwhelmed. But the friendly thing that I always share with leaders, whether it's a community leader, a business leader, or someone in school, is who would have thought if the three of us would have told you 19 months ago that you'd have to lock yourself in your apartment or your home, that you wouldn't see loved ones, and you'd have to either work from a technology or you'd have to hang tough, like if you're in the restaurant business. Who would have ever believed it? No one.
No.
And yet
Right.
here we are. What I would just say for everyone looking at the metaverse is, in anything in life, the more that you know the story about what do you want to achieve, the technology and the partnerships will follow. The hardest thing about business, especially in like Western capitalist societies, is not having a good idea, but it's how do you operationalize it and how do you grow it? That will never change. But what the metaverse has done is it takes things that used to take 3 or 4 months, and now you can do it in 3 or 4 hours. And to me, while that can be overwhelming, name me another time in history where you've had this opportunity. And I'd like to just say, like my last call to action as a humble working person whose family came here with $12 is, if you're listening to this right now and you are not blessed with a lot of assets, or you're working 3 jobs, or you may not have the confidence, I'm telling you are the metaverse. So don't let anyone tell you that you have to write a big check, or that you have to go to a huge school, or that you have to been born in a certain city. Believe in your vision, but put the blood, sweat, and tears into what do you want to achieve, and then the world is yours. I want nothing more than to see people truly unlock their full selves. And I believe that we're at a point in history where it's going to happen.
Wonderful.
Justin, I can tell you, we have interviewed quite a number of people over the years with many different podcasts, and you by far are one of my favorite guests. That's right, audience. I want everyone to know this. I do not liberally say this, but I can see and hear your passion, a passion for really integrating fairness and balance within this new world, and it being a place for everyone. We live in a world where everyone does not feel included, regardless of where you come from, socioeconomic, religion, race. And so now, as you said, we have the chance to create a world where everyone feels included and everyone feels like they have a seat at the table, and just your passion behind that and bringing your own story, with you and wanting to help others. I think that is remarkable. And that's why I can see you helping so many more leagues and teams and progressing in what you do. So I really wanted to take the time out. Justin is an amazing man. I see everything that you're doing, and I know everybody listening can relate to you on every level right now. So thank you so much for sharing that. And as you said, the diversity and inclusion in the metaverse, not enough people bring that up. And because I feel like people are scared to take that leap into the metaverse, they think, I'm not smart enough. I don't have the technology. I don't have the money. I don't have the connections to get in. I don't know anybody in there, but you just confirming to so many people, really, take that leap and find out what's going on in this world, because it is about you. It's you being there will help create it to what it will be in the near future. That's wonderful. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go
No,
on and on,
awesome.
Robin, but Justin is wonderful.
Yes.
Equally, I want to thank both of you for giving such a wonderfully authentic platform for so many innovators to share. And I think what the both of you bring out the best of people. And what I would just echo what you both shared is, The metaverse will be a chance to amplify your story. Don't water down your story. Don't close down options because you think it doesn't fit to a corporate paradigm. Unlock what you stand for, your family, your community, your business, your dreams, and then hit the gas. I think that for everyone listening here, all that the three of us want is a day in our lifetime when young people wake up and a lot of the challenges that exist today aren't here anymore for the right reasons. Let's take our shot and see if we can make it happen.
Powerful.
Yes.
That sums it up. You know, if we can get to that state, I don't have to say anything else on top of that. Justin, we're so humbled and really appreciate to really have you on the show. It was an amazing conversation. We'd love to have you back as this thing constantly evolves and stay aligned. But really enjoyed you today. Thank you for joining us.
You both honor me. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.